myself every time because you know what? The faithfulness of God sometimes blows my mind. I sometimes can't figure it out sometimes. Why is God always just getting out there and just giving me this first choice of being so obnoxious sometimes, but yet still is so faithful and so good to me every single time?
You know, the thing is, Mikey G, and I'm glad you alluded to it. The thing is, um, God does not treat us as we deserve. He certainly, um, He knows that we are imperfect, but still He cares for us anyway. He loves us anyway, and that is amazing. And sometimes the words fail me. The words do fail me, and I'm just baffled. I see him work, and Mikey G, I woke up this morning with this resolve that I am giving life my full 100. Sometimes
Percent.
I feel stretched thin, Mikey, but I'm trusting God anyway.
For me, I would tell someone, I always think about it like this. I think about it just like this every time. I don't see how I'm going to try to do tomorrow today. So don't ask me to do it because I can't do tomorrow today. I know many persons, I know many, many persons sometimes believe that today is not as good as it will be tomorrow.
Right?
Today is not as good as it will be tomorrow. And they work all their lives just to get that tomorrow's experience while today is squandered and it passes by. Oh, I didn't have enough money today, so you know what? Life is not good. And here's a question every time we have these conversations of not having enough and having all the things that we need to have and all the wealth in the world that we should have. And we are just asking these questions. God, why did you bring me here and leave me so desolate? Here is a question. There is a question asked to a young man. If I give you $1 million, would you be happy about it? Would you get up each morning and be just happy? He says, of course. I would be so happy. In fact, he said, listen, in fact, I'm going to give you $10 million. And with $10 million, what I'll do for you is I will not let you wake up after giving you $10 million. Giving you $10 million and you won't wake up at all.
You won't wake up?
Right. Just $10 million and you won't wake up. And so the man says, and you won't wake up? He says, and I won't wake up. He asked two times. He asked the third time. He said, yes, you won't wake up. He said, well, don't give me the $10 million. Right away, the $10 million is not as looking so good anymore. Just to wake up is worth more than $10 million. And the man says, then why don't you get up every morning with a smile and a happy face and giving God thanks and praise? Because if you know that just having life, you're feeling so good, $10 million have nothing over you. In fact, if they gave you $1 billion and say you won't wake up, you don't want it. And yet still, we get up each morning with a sad droop on our faces and feel as if we should just be this little Grinch of. Come on, people! This little groom. What they call that? That little creature who is always gloomy all the time, just always over you. You're just so gloom and you're feeling all this nonsense going on, and you're like, oh my God, come on. So I'm saying to somebody this morning, just to be the ability to wake up this morning and get the sunshine on your face and life is the opportunity for you to have one more chance to just have the best day that you can possibly have. And today, that's all I tell somebody today, this morning, Lady Elise.
That's a mouthful, Mikey G. Of course, a powerful motivation there that you shared with us, because sometimes we do get down and wonder. and it's difficult to pull ourselves out. But we are happy for this beacon of hope, this beacon of hope in the form of Flashpoint Media. And it's the beacon of hope not only to our listeners and viewers. I want to say a pleasant good morning, yes, to our viewers on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you're tuned in from. If you're on the radio, www.flashpointmedia.ky, good morning to you as well. And I hope that we can be that beacon of hope. Yes, it is Wellness Wednesday, and Dr. K will be joining us pretty soon. And she'll be, of course, sharing with us some tips. And we had such a wonderful time last time on our last occasion that we had to continue the conversation that we had last week. We have to continue it this week, Mikey G.
Of course, we had some questions and answered. Of course, last week we discovered that black people have a special sickness as well, and different from everybody else's sickness, and everybody will come in contact
Is
with
that the
us.
only thing you learn?
No, that's not the but I remember that one. Listen, there are some things that just stays with you, no matter,
Well,
these are very funny, these are very, very strange things sometimes.
the interesting thing that you might have also gathered is that as we refer to sickle cell disease, we
Yes.
also recognize that it is believed that that disease, the blood cells, it was in response to the malaria outbreak. Did you learn that as well?
I learned a few things here. What I learned also. We didn't talk about it last week. Was when the Europeans came to the new world called America, that they now named Land of America. They brought what you call a yellow fever with them.
Yes.
Yeah, I learned that too, but it wasn't it wasn't last week's show that we learned it on. But just by just doing the show, I went and I just
You're
revisit some.
learning stuff. Ooh!
So yeah, and so the yellow fever came to the United
Yeah.
States. Well, it wasn't the United States at that time. It
Yes.
was just the land of the brave and the free. And so the brave and the free was captured, of course, and they're not so free anymore. I mean, they're free enough to live on the reservation, but not free to roam freely anywhere else. I mean, yeah,
All right.
that's what that is. But anyway, having said that, it shows a sense of how we are carriers of all sorts of things. It depends on where we are coming from. Always have your Dulcimina with you.
Dulcimina.
Carrying
Yes.
around those hideous germs, wicked things to kill people all over. It's a dangerous thing, though. I mean, you ever ask yourself the question, where all these diseases come from?
Oh
Where do
boy.
viruses come from? And every time I think about it, you see somebody in a mask, well geared up with gloves on and his white coat and everything, and he's there busy trying to make a next disease. How can I kill somebody else? And that's 20,000
I
persons.
think you're
That's
having paranoia. What to say a special good morning? A special good morning to JT's grandma. She reached out to me. And I don't know, Mikey, do you remember JT? JT had the amputation,
yes, I remember
had a
it well.
osteosarcoma. Mm?
No, don't let me ask. Don't let me try to pronounce that word. But I was saying that I was thanking God for JT's ability to come back from it. I mean, I know he
Yeah,
lost a
she
leg.
says he's having a lot of pain. Though she says he's in a lot of pain again because of the port because he's still getting his treatment, and so he's doing another test today. So we continue to pray for JT on his journey to wellness. It's been a rough one, but of
Yes,
course, God has promised that He'll never leave us and He'll never
for
forsake
sake.
us. A special good morning to the lady Connie J.E. Yeah.
Good morning, Connie. How are you doing this morning? In a minute, I mean, we just before you go to bed, I thought last night was rather a very interesting topic. We had fun on that one. We talked about, whether or not God was a woman or God was a man, all these things. Or it is our mother in heaven that we pray to, or our father in heaven. And when we talked about that one, Lady Elise, every time I think about if we are going to say our mother in heaven, then we could just say all of us can be Catholic because we would just pray to Mary. And that would make sense, right? Because that's where we go. And if we are going on with the woman liberation thing, then yes, we need to pray to Mary because then this would have switched the idea of God's ideal to the mother in heaven, not the Father in heaven, which
Yes.
means man on earth is not God's representation of his replica as he made man, which is the
Yes.
humankind as the gender, well, the sex man, to say as God unto Christ is unto God, man is unto Christ, and then man would be the representation for his family. And if we are doing that, then we can just replace God then and say, well, God as in Mary, and then Jesus would be the daughter of Mary, and then of course the wife would be the ruler of the husband. That kind of thing. It could work. I think it could work. I think it could work. Let's
Why?
work on that.
Why? How did we get there, though?
No, I know. It just don't. But every time I like, so yesterday's topic was really an exciting one, right? I looked at it and I said, if you just warp it any further, if you could warp it anymore, we could get Jesus becoming the daughter of Christ, of God. I could get him being a transgender man. I mean, Jesus is, the scripture that says, and they are neither male nor female. It's the transgender aspect of the Bible that says we're not female or male. So here's where we're going to get the women to become the men now.
All right. It's so like your imagination is just
I know,
running,
I know.
running, running. But
I just have these things just pop in my head. Guys,
I
please.
see that you having a
Guys, please. I don't know where that's come from. I don't, somebody says the Holy Spirit, maybe it's one spirit, another spirit. I don't know which spirit it is, but it's a spirit.
whatever whatever spirit that is, my
Whatever
kitty.
spirit it is a spirit that causes me to think. I think. Yeah, I would leave it to be the discerning spirit. I don't know. That's what I would say. But nevertheless, we had a great show last night. Just before you go to bed was a great discussion. Of course, I want to say to Elder Williams and of course the man JJ, Elder JJ from the West Bay SDA Church. He stood his ground and of course he had some powerful conversation there last night. So just before you go to bed, turn up, man. It was a thing to listen to. Of course, just before you go to bed comes on every Tuesday at 7:30 in the PM, nightly on Flashpoint. And of course, you can actually go look at it and tell us what you think about that one.
Of course, of course. So as we get ready for Dr. K.
Of course, this morning I'm going to be just doing, of course, if we go into what's coming up on the days today.
National days, what is celebrated today? Let's see. Is it Mikey's birthday? Mikey G, is your birthday today?
Actually, my birthday is not yet, Um, yeah, still a few months out for that one. Um, yeah, my
All
days out.
right. Today is National Stretching Day. Oh, ah. All right.
Stretch in your day today. Stretch in. You mean like you when you stretch in, there is you have to be inside to stretch in.
All right. Let me just list the days because I don't want you to get stuck on one day.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So, National Stretching Day, National App Day, National Noodle Ring Day. Let's see if there's anything else that's celebrated today because, of course, we don't want to miss any. We don't want to miss any day. Um, National Tango Day,
Ah, tango.
National Have a Bagel Day,
All right.
International Mountain Day,
Mhm.
yeah, and UNICEF Day for Change.
Ah, hmm. UNICEF Day for Change.
Mhm.
What's that?
All right, so let's give you a little bit of more information. UNICEF Day for Change, extending a helping hand to children worldwide, making a meaningful difference through a renowned global organization. Folks who live comfortably sometimes find it easy to forget that there are children all over the world who could use a helping hand. UNICEF has been working all over the world for over 75 years to aid, protect, advocate for, and provide resources for children in need, whether affected by food shortages, lack of water and sanitation, facilities, improper nutrition, lack of medical care, or inadequate educational opportunities. UNICEF is dedicated to helping children who are at a risk. So, UNICEF Day for Change offers a distinct opportunity to raise awareness and make a positive impact on the lives of children in need.
Well, all right. My take on that would be, of course, you know, Lady Elise, is why not see if we can take care of the mothers and fathers, like the family, like give give good training to parents, and of course allow them to be able to earn, the money, provide a good economy that the
Yes.
parents can earn, and then the children would benefit significantly. There's a chain of command. I think there's a way of how things work.
Mhm.
Like putting the horse behind the cart, and then you say it's going to work. It don't work because all you do is feed the kids. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying couldn't we get to the point where we try to, you know, you know, build the family up a little bit, like make the mother and father be able to, unless all the mothers and fathers are already dead. I'm assuming that's children that have no fathers and mothers that you're talking about.
I well, it's a genuine situation. Children, people have difficulties. It is a genuine situation. So it's good that, and I must say, ASI is having a food drive. Of course, we will share that on our community notice for board. But let's go for, of course, a commercial break. As of course, we mention our sponsors, Asai Ultrasound Imaging, sponsor for this segment of the breakfast hour this morning.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further, away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries.
Trying to get in,
We'll
but I was in
make
the wrong
our
studio.
way. Won't you
But I guess
come
when I need to do my recording.
outside where the
Yes, I
sunflowers
just clicked play
bloom?
and I see the button.
Breathe in the air. Look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, it will all seem better outside. Just us in the sky. I will go wherever, I'll be yours forever.
Of course, it's another beautiful Wednesday, and it gets more beautiful as, of course, Dr. K is going to be joining us, and she's going to be, you know, making sure we stay healthy, not just this Christmas, but for the rest of our lives. Welcome, Dr. K.
Good morning, Lady Elise. Good morning, Mikey G.
Good morning, Dr. K. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Well, the last time I checked, we're talking about a lot of different types of things that can attack us as humankind. And of course, we had a great conversation last time, even afterwards, what we call the aftermath of the conversation, right? There was many topics, there were many little smaller conversations that were happening microscopically and on a greater scale, but we had some conversations. And, it was somewhat enlightening, but somewhat heart-rending when you listen to some of the things that really ails us and affects us as humankind. But as you somewhat come here and you explain to us and tell us, you just don't tell us of all the things that can harm us, but also you try to encourage us to also seek early detections or early screening or get with the program to find out early that you can actually get a chance to survive some of these things. So I want to thank you for joining us this morning again, Dr. K, with the wealth of experience that you have, and of course, to be willing to share it with us this morning and the listeners. It's a privilege to have you this morning.
Yeah, and of course, last week we just asked one question. I believe we only touched one question, and it just led to much more and more. And so, this morning I will ask the question again because you were in the process of sharing with us the the different screening that exists throughout our lives. And we started from the neonate. We're talking about the cord blood for sickle cell and all those other things. But, and then we spoke about men and checking themselves and recognizing that, okay, it doesn't mean that after your mom taking you to the doctor from high school or whatever, it doesn't mean that you stop. So we touched on maintaining care. But I think I asked a question, and let me just continue with that question as it relates to pancreatic um, cancer, and if there are any screening tools and anything out there that you can start doing or checking to see if anything is happening where that is concerned.
Okay, so there really not many tools that we have to screen for pancreatic cancer. But the thing about pancreatic cancer is that um, the there are some subtle signs, and as you said, the diabetes or the blood sugar being elevated is one of the things that we can use to make sure that once it happens, you're not just thinking that it's because my family members are diabetic. So it's heralding. So basically, we don't really have any recommended screenings for people who are at risk. Um, but the thing about it is that if you're having, for people who are at risk, you can do CT abdomens or MRI or ultrasounds. But this is not really recommended in everybody to say, oh, let me see. But there are other things that you can see. Abdominal pain can help you. For example, people who are, say, who have had chronic pancreatitis or even alcoholics with abdominal pain would get more imaging than other people who are not at risk. But really and truly, there isn't. And I think one of the heralding features of pancreatic CA is possibly abnormality with the blood sugar.
Mm.
So there are not really many blood tests or even imaging that we do to screen for pancreatic cancer, and that's a problem because by the time the symptoms come about, most times the horse has gone through the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So the cancer is already there. And pancreatic cancer is one of those very aggressive cancers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So by the time you find a mass in the pancreas, then it's too late.
Mm. Wow.
But
Yeah.
but if you have a family history, for example, an immediate relative, a parent or a sibling who has had pancreatic cancer, yes, you can do imaging. And ultrasound is a pretty good imaging to do. Um, we tend to, because it can see the pancreas, even though the better imaging would be an endoscopic ultrasound. But just an ultrasound, general abdominal ultrasound, can look at the pancreas, can image the pancreas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
as I say, the best thing to do would be an endoscopic ultrasound or an MRI or a CT scan. But just doing an ultrasound alone can image the pancreas. But as I say, unfortunately, I think probably in the next few years we probably will come up with some screenings for certain things, but unfortunately, that's why men, you have screening for prostate, use it because not everything we have screening for.
Yes, yes, and I noticed too, as it relates to ovarian cancer as well. Is there a test, or if there's a family history, say there's a family history of ovarian cancer, does it mean that you have to be more cautious? Um, do you have tests that are available that you could do as a screening? And what age would you start doing that sort of test?
Okay, so thank you. If you have a family history of ovarian cancer,
Mm-hmm.
then there are tests that you can do. There's a CA-125 that you can do as a blood test.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's not very specific. So people who have pancreatic, it can be elevated even if you don't have pancreatic. I mean ovarian cancer.
Right.
It can be elevated, so it can give you false results.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do that, or you can do your abdominal ultrasound because your abdominal pelvic ultrasound, transvaginal ultrasound will look. Sometimes the pelvic ultrasound will not see the ovaries,
Mm-hmm.
but a transvaginal ultrasound, you're closer to the ovaries, you will see the ovaries, and you know that. So your doctor will send you for an abdominal and a transvaginal ultrasound. Now, if you have a family history,
Mm-hmm.
then you probably will. It's up to you. Your doctor will decide how early you'll start having these ultrasounds done. But generally, a woman, even in her early 20s, can get an ultrasound just to do a baseline, just to look at the ovaries to make sure everything is fine. Because if you notice, women, even younger women in their 20s, tend to be plagued with ovarian cysts. And the ovarian cysts are usually simple cysts. Remember, on the ovaries, you have an egg that's released,
Mm-hmm.
and in that space, sometimes there's fluid collected.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like getting a blister. You got a burn and a blister, and then that fluid is collected, so you get a blister there. We call it a cyst, and fluid is collected there, and sometimes the cyst itself can rupture, and when fluid is in the abdomen or
Yes.
gets on the peritoneum, gets anywhere in the abdomen, it does cause pain. So yes, so women sometimes come in because they have abdominal pain and they will get an ultrasound done and will look. So it all depends on what's happening. Furthermore, um, when you go to your OBGYN, and that's why it's good to get your annual pap smear, because she's not just doing your pap smear, she's checking your adnexal. She's putting her hands and she's feeling for any tenderness or any masses in the adnexal. So just by her feeling, put her finger in the vagina, press on the lower abdomen. She can feel you're actually moving the whatever structures in there closer to the abdomen. If there's pain when you're pressing, you will get some discomfort. So she's not just doing an annual pap smear. Your OBGYN, male or female, is going to be checking your pelvic structures to make sure that everything is okay. So yes, based on your doctor's advice, you might get ultrasound more often if you have a family history or you're at risk for getting ovarian cancer.
And and
Well,
and uh, let me not interrupt you, Mikey G. You can go ahead.
no, I was listening to the concept of ovarian cancer, and I always have it as a sexually um, it was something that is sexually active persons alone who can actually get ovarian right now. But based on what Dr. K just said, well, I mean, I'm just saying this is just my understanding. And of course, as a layman, and of course, literally layman,
No, no, and that's why I really enjoy these times that we decided to answer questions, because Dr. K, I mean, sometimes we feel that we don't have control over our health, but once you recognize, you have to help the doctor as well. You
right?
know, you can't not just stay away from the doctor, and then when you have an issue where there's less that can be done, that's what, but there's so much you can do, these
So
routine
And
checks.
and absolutely, because you have a history with the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
just like how you are supposed to know your body,
Right.
your doctor will know you.
Mm-hmm.
So when there are little changes, so you've been going to your doctor,
Mm-hmm.
even you're a young person and you're going annually, your doctor has a record of what has been happening to you over the years.
Right.
And you will go to your doctor and say, even if you don't say anything, your doctor will observe something and will ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
When did this start? When did you notice? I notice you have pain here. You never had it the last time. So there's some tenderness. Sorry, pain is different from tenderness. There's tenderness because the doctor can tell you that you have pain. The
Mm-hmm.
doctor can
Mm-hmm.
elicit tenderness,
Mm-hmm.
and you can say, "I have pain there." So your doctor will elicit tenderness in a particular area, and you are saying, um, she he or she will say that didn't happen the last time,
Mm-hmm.
and you will say, okay, I probably started having some discomfort a month ago, 2 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago.
Right.
But then your doctor, who has that relationship with you and knows your history, will know that something is wrong. And even when you come and say, these are the symptoms that I'm having, they'll be able to pick it up earlier just because they have a history. It's just like a woman who is pregnant and never seeks antenatal care or prenatal care. And then she goes for delivery. The doctor is,
Does that really happen?
yes, the doctor is at a loss
Yes.
because
well,
they would know if there's any. It's like praying to God that there's no complications and
Yeah.
everything is okay,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't get a chance, or we don't have any history. It doesn't have to be the same doctor, but we don't have any history of the pregnancy. So you don't know if everything is fine, or when you go inside, you're going to have three babies, or the baby's going to be breech, or the baby's going to be transverse, or the baby's going to be coming with anything because you don't have any care. It's the same thing with your body. When you go to your doctor, you have a history. You're able to even diagnose and even treat and prevent illnesses long before they would ever dream of happening.
Yeah,
Mm.
I grew up on stories of persons being asking a mother asking a question. Diane is pregnant, you're pregnant. And they said, no, mama, what happened to you? Because I eat a lot of cornmeal, it swell up the belly, you know. So I'm listening to conversation. Listen. I had some stories in my time that is second to none, right? And so and these are not stories that people tell me. I saw people doing these things, literally doing it. Now, when you said that a while ago, that there are persons who actually could be possibly pregnant, but go to the doctor for something else and not knowing that this is the case. Sometimes I might even say that is just totally impossible. How is that even possible? But I remember a young lady who was pregnant the whole time, and I did not know that she was pregnant, and she had a baby. She looked the same way as if she was not pregnant. Now, how would you, doc? Yeah, and this person sometimes, and a lot of persons don't know that they're pregnant. I don't know how this is possible, but how is it possible for somebody to have been pregnant for such a long time, almost in third trimester now, and ready to have a baby, and just realizing?
Because you know we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and everybody is made differently.
Mm.
And do you know that there are women who sometimes have these bleedings throughout their pregnancy, and they think it's a period?
Mhm.
Because there are women who have, and there are women who do not have regular periods. And so not everybody who is pregnant have the same symptoms of pregnancy. There are women who just get pregnant and they're sick from the day they get pregnant for the entire 9 months. There are women who get pregnant and basically have no symptoms. They're fine. They're like, can probably do everything that they would normally do. And the body habitus makes a big difference too. So depending on your body structure, you might, women have large hips and the baby might be healthier, and the tummy not getting bigger as
Mm.
they expected it to. And it does increase a little bit, but not to the extent of the increase that you would see in another pregnant woman, because she might just be that way. So yes, and I've seen cases, I've heard of cases, and yes, you're wondering, the woman comes in and she's having abdominal pain at that time because she's going into labor.
Here's
and
here's one.
and you're doing the ultrasound and you're going, oh Jesus have mercy, and you're screaming at that time because guess what, you need antenatal care, you need everything, you need an OBGYN on board, because the last thing you're thinking about is a baby.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
remember, I don't know if this woman was lying or not. I don't know what it was, but she came into hospital, said she was pregnant, but her date of pregnancy would have dated when she was having the pain. And I checked her, the baby was coming, but based on what she told me, she never had any care before. So this is based on what she's telling me. That baby would have been like about, probably about 16 weeks or so, and as of course that's an abortus. So it's not like I'm ready to deliver a baby that's going to be a viable infant.
Mhm.
And so of course I'm going to her with a kidney dish
So,
and to deliver the abortus. And when that baby came out, I mean,
Full
this is
term.
me. Well, she wasn't full term. It was a premature baby, but that baby would have been like about 28 weeks, which is a norm, which a baby
Viable.
can live. Yes,
Yes.
and is screaming to the nurse, calling the neonatal unit to send me the transport, or the portable ICU for the baby, the portable neonatal transport, because calling the OBGYN because this baby has to be transported to the neonatal unit, um, calling for warm blankets. I mean, I'm unprepared. I
Yes.
am honestly. I mean, when I saw that baby coming out in the sack, eyes open, everything, I was like, "Oh my Jesus, I have a baby here."
Eh.
I went to deliver an abortus. I ended up with a baby.
oh man,
Well,
that's
that's a
that's
good
so
outcome,
prophetic.
of course.
It's so prophetic right now. That's so prophetic right now.
No, it's good, but the fact is that as the caregivers, the nurses and the doctors, you now are going into emergency mode
Yes.
because you have a prem that you
Yes.
have to make sure that that baby is okay. Because usually those premature babies, you have to make sure that they're suction, make sure that they're breathing, make sure that there's so many things you have to take a little bit more care with those babies. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was so she didn't even know she was pregnant 3 months before she even knew she was pregnant.
Mm.
So when she thought she was pregnant 3 months later,
Here
her
is
dates were off.
here is a question I'd want to ask, Doc. Women, the hip structure of a woman. I'm going to ask this. It's I'm just, I want to know. How many men out there would want to know? A woman with the hip structure of a woman determine whether she's a good candidate to bear children
I'm not going to say she's a good candidate to bear
or
children,
a better
but
candidate.
okay, so the God created women with this gynecoid
Gynecoid pelvis.
gynecoid pelvis.
Yes.
Men have an android
Android.
pelvis.
So we can't mix up. So we're not able to mix up men and women because
No, there are some women with android
There are
pelvises.
women who, not all women have gynecoid
oh,
pelvis.
not all women have it.
No, some
So we
women
can do
their
mix up the men
pelvis
and
is
men. All
not
right,
as
fine. I
their
see that.
pelvis is curved, but not as curved as other women. So
Mm.
it's not. We wouldn't say it's quite android, but it's not gynecoid. So there are women who just straight. You ever see women who just straight like that? Sometimes the pelvis is not the. You can look at her and see that she's a woman, but her pelvis is not the pelvis that is the most adequate. So a woman who has a gynecoid pelvis, she's able to hold a baby well. The baby is held well in that pelvis for delivery,
So
for pregnancy, and even for delivery, her uterus opens more, and her vagina opens more. The whole baby delivery is easier in those women. Unfortunately, even with a gynecoid pelvis, there are things that can happen with the baby and with the birthing process that they may have to do a C-section because the baby sometimes is even with a gynecoid pelvis, the baby can be she can be a 5 foot woman with a 10 pound baby. That baby can't come out.
well, what
So
you just explained a while ago, Doc, was very interesting and important to the men who are seeking marriage and, of course, wanting to have children in this marriage. For the men who want to have children in the marriage, then what you do is you choose a gynae. But then for the men who do not want children at all, and those men who don't want children, who are not interested in children, then choose a woman who is not going to bring any children. Or,
and how would you know that? How would you know that?
no, that's what I'm saying. Less likely
So
to do
so
it.
you have to send her to get to see what her pelvic structure
That's
look
what
like
I'm
before
saying.
you
So
marry
you
her.
just choose that woman because you might choose a woman who wants children and you end up in a miserable relationship. That's what I would say. So please
Well,
choose what.
I guess it's very interesting because last week when we had a discussion, we were talking about um, the chances of having a full blown sickle cell child based on the combination of maybe two persons who have the trait. So,
Mhm.
although we are talking about the physical structure, the correlation now in terms of childbearing, and that's a whole other discussion or path that we could go down, Dr. K, because then there are questions that come to my mind reasonably because I mean um, when persons enter in relationships there are things medically that you don't talk about. I mean,
But the truth is that Lady Elise, when two people are entering into a relationship, even
yes,
before they get married, there's some screenings that they should actually get. So we always recommend, as doctors, even recommend um, know who you are. So if you are you have sickle cell disease or any
yes,
other any other genetic conditions,
Mm-hmm.
are you willing to pass that gene down? Are you willing to accept a child who has that? So we don't get screened for everything, because more than likely throughout your life and when you're in your 20s ready to have a relationship, you would have known a lot of these things. And even testing, you get STD testing, you get testing to make sure. You will go to your doctor, they will do a test to make sure. I mean, nobody can say that you will or will not get pregnant or you will have a child, but they will check you to make sure that everything is fine there, and also you are free of illnesses, because when you get married you want to be basically fine to go into that relationship.
Yeah,
Uh,
Doc, as we're still on childbearing, would you just remind our listeners, just for a short, Lady Elise, you're going to be asking the question. I'm not going to trouble the question at all. But just to remind our listeners, what is the best time for childbearing to begin and end? Just for because somebody missed it the last time, and then just move on to the question with Lady Elise.
As I say, your bestest years are in your 20s, and we once you reach
And could you date it?
35.
Could you date it? Could you like date it like saying this is when a good time to start and a good time? I mean, when it's ending
I
for
mean, depending on the woman's maturity, from 18 up to 35, she's good,
after that you are putting your child at risk and yourself.
basically.
All right,
yes.
I just want to
Yeah.
get that point in. Lady Elise, you're about to say something. I'm sorry.
All right. So there was another question that was asked, but I'm not sure if I should put that question because since we are speaking about fertility and those things, the question is how does a woman calculate her menstrual cycle? So you will say women have 28 to 32.
It's actually a 21 to 36 day cycle.
How do they calculate
So
it?
how do they calculate it? It's easy. From the first day of your period to the first day of your next period. So my period was on the first of this of my period was on the first of December.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I my next period would be probably on the 30th of December, because I have a 29 day cycle. If I have a 28 day cycle, my period is going to come on the 29th of December. Because there's some people say, no, you can't have two periods in 1 month. Yes, you can. My period was on the 1st of December.
Mm-hmm.
My next period, if I have a 28-day cycle, is going to be on the 29th of December. My next period would be 28 days after this 29th of December. So my period is going to fall on the 23 days. It would be 25th day of January. And from January in February is going to fall on the 22nd day of February. And February has 28 days, so it's going to fall on the 28th day of March. But March has 30 days, so it's going to fall on the 20th day in April. So if your periods are regular, you notice now your period has not fallen on the same day yet. So if your period is 28 days, it's every 28 days. And if your period is 21 days, it's every 21 days. And if your period is 30 days, it's every 30 days after the period is when you're going to be having the next
I
your
want
next.
to, Doc. I
Okay.
want to say that, Doc. I want to say thank you very much this morning for that, because I know a lot of gentlemen are listening of how to calculate the nose. It's not the period.
The who?
The
You
nose.
know,
The nose. When you go out and it says, first thing you ask the young lady before you going out, it says, what cycle are you on? Are you on a 28-day cycle or not?
A
So you have
man
to know.
a man asks that.
No, no,
really.
these are new questions that need to be asked, because we need to know when you're hearing that it's a period time. It's not a period time. I know that's a big thing. I've listened to this conversation many times. So now that you have explained it to us, I want the guys to take a note, get a calendar, guys, put a circle when the girl says, I have a 28-day cycle, the last period that she had, circle that one, and just mark everywhere you see on the calendar that 28 days would fall. All right. Now, after doing that, then you know you're on your way to dating. All right.
But you have to understand that there's nothing written in stone,
Exactly.
because
No, yes, yes, sir.
her periods, okay. So even though she has a 28-day cycle, there are
Yes.
other things that can affect it.
Hmm.
If
Yes.
she's going through a stressful period, any illnesses, or she's going through any emotional stresses, if she's ill, that can change her entire cycle. So yes, even though she's supposed to have a 20 that she has that can cause problems.
Well, all right. So I'd say that for most persons who never understood it, and I would have told them a little bit of the secret, a little bit to understanding a few things that some of the things come out. But on a serious note, you know, many persons, even women, well, women don't. A lot of women don't know um, what cycle they're on. And of course, today's experience of today's conversation would be give them the ability to address that, and of course, to be able to even keep a calendar for themselves. And of
Right.
course, as you said rightfully, that not because you have a what you call a regular cycle, it means that it can't be disrupted. And what can disrupt a regular cycle is a stress factor. Let me ask.
And it's any stress factor. It could be traveling, it could be going through an illness, it could be going through an emotional disturbance, it could be anything that could cause your hormones to be a little, could be medication, could be anything that could cause your hormones to be a little bit interrupted. Because remember, our body, basically the way we function not just physiologically, but the environment affects how our body functions too. So yes, so that's important. But then we need to realize that you know, we need to understand our cycle and know that basically 14 days before the period comes is when the ovulatory cycle is. So yeah, that stays the same.
Well, all right. For me, I would say to someone this morning, who have just learned this information, try to, many persons don't understand the purpose of not being stressed out all the time. Being stressed out all the time is a crazy thing for most persons. In fact, some people strive on being stressed out. If you ask somebody a question, how are you today? I'm stressed. And it's a go-to word for many persons. And I find out by just telling yourself that you are actually going to find yourself in that situation. So I want to thank you this morning for just giving us that little bit of tidbit for women. For the men, let me ask you the question that we are not, and I just want to be clear that the men don't have periods, and there are persons running around saying that men can't have periods. But anyways, let's put it this way: men, because they don't have periods, what would be for them? You would suggest, do men have cycles, that, I mean, in any form, any way at all? We don't have periods, but do we have any form of cycle in anything that goes on with us?
Or sometimes it seems like you have emotional cycles.
All right, let's go down. Let's go. Well, all right. So men are what you call it, impervious to these cycles. So we don't. So for the men who are running around, men can have cycles and have these things. Come on, guys, get a hold of yourself. Those are not the real men out there. So real men don't have it. The false ones do. All right. Here is the one for our listeners this morning. If you have a question this morning, please type it in the chat. Where we have it in our VIPs, guys, VIPs, reach out in your VIP chat. You can put your questions there, of course, and of course, ask any question you want. The doctor is on this morning. We'll soon be out of here in a few minutes, but or less. Of course, it's almost time for us to go. But you can put your chat there. Of course, if you really want to reach us, you can reach us on 1345 321 6969. If you have a burning question you want to ask right now, 1345 321 6969 is the question. It's a WhatsApp number, or you can call direct and straight on that one. All right? Over to you, ladies.
And the last question that I got, I don't know if we have to put it to another week, but it's related to colonoscopy and when persons should start that screening and what does it check for. Um,
Okay, right. So your colonoscopy is screening for colon cancer.
mm-hmm.
So we say that everybody who is, um, well, we start early depending on your risk. So
Yes.
you might start at 50, but depending on your risk, you might start a little bit earlier, 40, 45. So it all depends on what's happening. And not just because you're screening for, you could have a lower GI bleed and you could be 40-year-old and you're bleeding from you're having blood on your when you wipe or blood I'm passing stool. Your doctor will do a colonoscopy at any stage in your life,
Mm-hmm.
but in terms of screening, we tend to screen 50 and over, and that is looking for colon cancer. So you go through a prep where you try to clean the colon as clean as possible. Mean that you go through where your body is like you go through a washout basically. So you wash out the stool because if there's stool up there, you can't see anything. So you want a clean colon. So you wash your colon out, and then the doctor is going to pass the flexible colonoscopy, which is a tube, and it's going to go as far up as to the
That
sigmoid colon.
sounds painful.
You're asleep. You're asleep, and the doctor will go all the way up and will look, pull, lose the camera to look to see if there's anything. And if there's anything, then the doctor is going to biopsy. Sometimes when people have polyps that are there, that some are cancerous, some are not, they'll take a sample,
Yes.
but they'll look and they look all the way down because the colon is very, very long, and they look all the way down, coming all the way down just to make sure that everything is fine. If everything is fine, they'll say, okay, come back in 10 years. If they see something, they might say, come back in 5 years for me to screen. And the same thing to your doctor will do an endoscopy where we put the tube all the way down into your stomach, go all the way down to your duodenum, looking for abnormalities. You're asleep. Guys, you don't know. You wake up and you're fine. No
Yes.
problem.
Like
I don't
nothing
know
happened.
when I was asleep, I could be to endure all of that. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
but you don't know. You don't know. You're asleep. You're asleep. The next thing you remember is you counting sheep
Oh
or
my
talking to the
word.
anesthetists, and you don't remember anything else after that.
Good as new. Come on, good as
Good as
new.
new. Good as new. Good as new.
Good as new.
But yes, your colonoscopy, it should be done as long as you are about 50 years old. We recommend that you start getting your screen, and then you get every 10 years unless your doctor recommends earlier screen.
Okay. So much
Because
information
you know
this
the
morning.
sad thing about it, when you're
Yes.
young, a lot of things don't happen to you. But as you get older, you know your body, and that's why it behoves you to, as you get older, your body becomes more acidic. You
Yes.
know, right?
Mm.
As you get older, your body becomes more acidic, and that is why cancers are more likely to be formed in an acidic environment. What causes an acidic environment? Sugars, meat, those things tend to cause a more acidic environment. You want your body to be a little bit more alkaline. What causes an alkaline environment? Having a lot of fruits and vegetable, having a good spirit, building your immune system, drinking enough water.
Of course, Doc, I know that you are also someone who is actually uh, part of a business organization that sells machinery that allows you to get alkaline water. So, I mean, I guess you could, if you're up to it, you could tell us a little bit about that product that possible can create the alkaline water that you need, that would give you the health care that you need, that may prevent the colonoscopies from happening.
The who?
All of that. The colonoscopies. One from the down and the one from the up.
Sorry, you lost me there. Sorry.
I know I lost you. I know. I know.
The colonoscopy.
The colonoscopy.
It's not something that you prevent. It's something that you
That's a
need to do.
procedure.
I'm saying, because the body become acidic,
But just
because
being
the body becomes acidic, then doc would have a product that can to allow the body to not be so acidic,
but
and
but
of
but but
course,
that's what I just said to you. It's even drinking alkaline water doesn't really stop your body from being acidic if you're having bad habits.
Yes.
It can help, but the thing about it, you have to eat your fruits and your vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
You have to um, exercise. You have to eat healthily. You have to keep your stress down, because, as I say, just aging alone makes your body acidic. And as a result of that, you're more likely to have damages by the different antioxidants in your system. And we're all exposed to antioxidants every day. But we have, sorry, not antioxidants, we're all exposed to oxidizing agents every day. So we need to have antioxidants, which we get naturally, and some
Mm-hmm.
that we get from the food that we eat. And that's why we take our vitamins, because we know we might not eat well enough. So our vitamin A, or vitamin E, or vitamin D, or trace elements, these are all antioxidants that we can have in order to help us to get rid of, chelate these, just by breathing. We breathe in oxygen, it goes into our system, it forms these free radicals that can damage our cells. We eat processed food, which is something that we need to stay away from, or ham, or bacon, or processed, what do you call it now, bacon, turkey bacon, or processed vegetarian food, which are basically not exactly well. We try to stay away from processed foods as much as possible,
wow.
because they have nitrates, they have other stuff that can cause us to get
Well,
all these free radicals that can damage our
just
cells.
you have just messed up the vegetarian diet right there, and doc, I'm thanking you
No, no,
this
no.
morning.
A vegetarian. Remember, a vegetarian diet. What's vegetarian?
No, no, I'm
Vegetarian
saying
diet
no.
is
When you say the
processed.
processed food, I just said I was thinking about I don't want to mention them now, but when you talked about a while ago, I just said when I go for vegetarian, they always give me some vegetarians that I don't know which tree they come from. I didn't see any other tofu tree and stuff like that, right? But I'm just saying
Came from the soy beans.
tofu tree. All right, doc. No, I'm just saying processed food. I just went to processed
But
food and
there's so many things that are processed. Where does curry come from?
no, that's what I'm
From
saying.
the
Our curry is processed. What I know, my mother, we used to get the paprika and everything, and she would actually piece of that, and actually make that become the curry. We make our own curry and
We
stuff
use
like
the
that. So,
turmeric, actually dig the turmeric out and grate
right?
it.
And so we actually did it on our own
Yes.
and make it, right. So I grew up like that, and most of the stuff that we had, it was natural stuff. Everything was natural. Everything was just, we didn't buy any much processed anything, really.
and that's the difference, Mikey G, with the way the society is now, where both parents are working. There's no way a lady. Do you know how much work she used to do to get all of those food from natural, from in their natural states,
Lots of
to get them
work.
into the pot and get them onto the table?
Doc, you're opening another can of worm right there, Doc.
Let's not open any worms for you, Mikey G.
Let's
Opening
let's not
a can of
open any
worm
worms.
just to say that the women have such an important role in our society, and she gives that to the boss man at the office all day, and the children are disenfranchised. That's what you just said a while
It's
ago.
it's
And
Wellness Wednesday.
I know what I'm talking about. That is about to respond. She did not say that. She
and
wants to defend herself. Let her say.
I remember, Mikey G. I was talking about parasites the other day, ladies.
Yes.
And the other day, there's this patient who went on vacation and came in with a rash on her leg.
Yeah.
There were cutaneous larval migrants walking on the beach. The
You
worms
know,
invaded the foot, and went up into her leg, and we're
You,
walking
you
out
know,
in on her skin.
On the beach?
look
Yeah.
here. I
So
am
that means I
telling.
have to.
Listen, I am telling you. I said it every day on the program. I said I
Ah,
do not like to see men and women walk the dogs on the beach and not have
okay.
the dogs. So listen what I'm saying. I'm saying this. I said it every time. I do not like to see people walking on the beach with the dogs pooping on the beach and walking with a plastic bag, taking up the poop and leaving the little residue of whatever. And people are lying on these things. I am upset about these things, and I'm not going to
But
stop talking about it. Right? And I'm happy that you brought it up again this morning, that
but
because I've been
no,
saying this a
a
long time
lot of
now.
those dogs are vaccinated and dewormed. So
Yes.
it's usually from the stray ones who do not get their veterinary checks. A lot of these domestic dogs are vaccinated,
Well cared
and
for.
yes, and they're dewormed. They don't have parasites, most of them. But the ones who are stray dogs that are around, they're the ones who tend to be more likely to be having the parasites and pass them along.
Okay,
Yes.
So
sorry.
just be careful, guys.
Just be careful. It's at the end, Mikey G. I know you have more questions.
No, no more question. I just want to thank Doc for just bringing that across this morning. I wasn't going to say anything more because what she has made is a very valid point. I mean, we might have to walk around with a scanner to see which dog have the fur in it to see if it's the one.
Well,
Or the,
I don't know about the scanner yet.
All
so,
right.
since you don't have a scanner yet, I would say be better safe than sorry. Stop walking those dogs on the beach where people are and stop doing that. Stop it.
All right, so I want to thank our listeners and viewers, those who have joined us, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and those listening on the radio on this Wellness Wednesday, where we asked Dr. K some very interesting questions. Remember, if you have any questions that you need to ask, please just send them on 321 6969, area code 345. So 345 321 6969. I want to say thank you, Dr. K, as usual, for sharing so much. There's just so much information this morning, and I know we are much better for it.
And
Well,
correct.
for
Thank
those
you so much. And next week, um, I'm going to be talking about grief. And the reason I'm going to be talking about grief is this season. You know, this season is supposed to be a happy season, but not everybody is happy. Some people are grieving, and that's why I'm going to be talking about grief next week.
Okay, guys, so tune
you
in.
could, you could have you couldn't have picked a better topic because there are some questions that going to go and pop up from that one, some conversation. I already know a few of them already. And I'm saying today, I'm telling you, today I'm happy that you came up and you said all the things that you said today. Today, our listeners are benefiting significantly from the conversation we've had, for the colon and all of that. And, for those persons, my friend died from what we talked about earlier, bladder pancreatic
Cancer.
cancer, and it was a very devastating thing. I have two friends that I can document it, known now, that has passed away from it, and there are many persons who, when they are diagnosed, there's no coming back from it. So I want to thank you, Doc, for coming on this morning and giving us a little bit of care advice. We should go out, get tested, get screened, and of course, to get ahead of the thing before it starts to catch us badly, and we cannot do
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for coming.
Preventative medicine.
Say that, Doc. What do you say?
I said preventative medicine.
Preventative medicine.
Thank you very much.
Save you a lot of money and stress, and
I would say save you a lot of life.
yes, and save
No,
your
yeah, it's
life.
true because listen to me, being ill is the most expensive. Being ill is very expensive. Think about just loss of your independence, loss of your income, having to spend so much money on medical care, on tests.
And it's
Um,
not cheap.
no, it's not. More than likely you're gonna need someone to take care of you. So you have to, whether it's gonna be a spouse or somebody else, has to
Caregiver.
dedicate their time. So somebody has to give up their livelihood to take care of you. You have already given up your livelihood because you're sick. Somebody else has to give up their livelihood to take care of you. So yes, it's very, very expensive. And regardless of whatever indemnity insurance you have for cancers or myocardial infarctions or strokes, heart attacks or strokes, yes, those insurances will kick in, but it's very expensive.
Hmm.
People have sold their houses and land just for healthcare.
Thank you, Doc, for this morning's experience. Of course, for our listeners, I want to say thank you for joining us this morning for Wellness Wednesday. Of course, catch us next week, same time, same place, when we do it all over again for you. It is Wednesday, guys, and I'm telling you, today is not going to be one that I'm going to just idly just pass by, because I'm going to enjoy every bit of today, because I am not certain about tomorrow. Guys, I want to say to you, if you're just joining us for the first time, stick and stay with Flashpoint. Join us on www.flashpointmedia.ky. Our radio continues to play all day today. And of course, join us for the 2 to 6 Super Mix when we get it later on today. Lady Elise.
Yes, I want to thank you so much for joining us, everyone, on the breakfast hour. Thank you, Dr. K. We certainly are better for it. I've actually selected one test that I'm due for, yeah, that I'm going to be actioning based on our conversation this morning. So thank you, Dr. K. Your words are not going in vain. And
Awesome.
thank you for your commitment to this ministry. We certainly do appreciate it. We look forward to it each and every Wednesday. So, guys, remember, Dr. K is going to talk about grief next week. Come and listen to the conversation. It promises to be an interesting one. Thank you, Dr. K. We do appreciate you.
I am going to go.
Have a good day.
Thank
I'm going
you.
to go practice my scholarship. On the scholarship.
Colon, yeah.
Hi, guys. I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn the word. The next time I come back, Mikey G will know the word scholarship. That's it. Thanks, Doc.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mikey G. Say nothing else. Say nothing else.
No, listen, I'm just saying, how do people, no, let me ask you, how do these medical persons come up with these names? We get,
Scopy. This one is easy. Scope, scopy, laparoscopy, endoscopy, scope, looking, scope, right? Colon, the place, the colon,
it's colonoscopy,
colonoscopy.
colonoscopy. There you go. All right. So I'm just asking, I mean, do you, have you ever just listened to some of the medical terms that you hear? Where
No.
did it come from? I have a race Stevens I like to play all the time. And he
Oh,
talks
yes.
doctor and what when he goes to the doctor, how things work. But I want to thank you for coming on this morning and for gracing the stage this morning right here on Flashpoint. What an exciting piece of information. Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Potent, potent bit of information this morning. Second to none. Our listeners have benefited from it significantly this morning. I myself have benefited from it. I'm going to be learning the word now, guys, when I come back next week. Mikey G will know that word properly and I will be able to pronounce it and, of course, say it without having a problem saying it. Hold me to it. Hold me to it. I will definitely learn that word.
I'm glad that there's still hope for you, Mikey G. Have no fear. Have no fear at all. There is hope for you. There's hope for us all. I want to say thank you for, you know, Dr. K joining us this morning on this Wellness Wednesday. Time has gone by so quickly, Mikey G. It has gone by so quickly. So, what we need to just share what has happened or what is happening in the news. I don't know. Do you know what's happening, Mikey G?
Well, I tell you, I have listened to so many different aspects of the news. I don't know which part of it you're going to bring this morning. But you know what? I'm just standing by to hear what the news has to offer us today. What's coming up next in our news? Of course, news is brought to us by Asai Ultrasound for all your ultrasound needs right here in the Grand Cayman Islands.
All right. So let's see what's What's making the news? Of course, we are learning that a man caught in driver's seat after crashing a stolen vehicle over there in Guyana, and the police has arrested. This is according to Loop News. The police has arrested a male Venezuelan national who drove off with a woman's vehicle yesterday evening before crashing the vehicle shortly after. And this is a black Honda Vessel valued at 4.7 million dollars. It belonged to a 39-year-old housewife from Pearl East Bank de Marara over there in Guyana. And of course, we also see where the IDB, the International Development Bank, has approved a US 25 million program aimed at improving Suriname's air transportation sector with a focus on enhancing safety, connectivity, and infrastructure. Lots happening in the news, Mikey G. We're happy that we are able to share what's happening. And of course, we heard of something, we are still getting more information as to what happened over here in Cayman at the Foster's airport. You
Yes,
know,
I was interested in listening, hearing that piece of information. Uh,
yes, I know that the place as early as um, 4 p.m. yesterday, staff members were outside. There were fire trucks on scene. There were police officers who prevented entry to the property, and persons were not allowed on property yesterday 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So certainly I heard that there was a fire scare, but we are still trying to get information regarding what happened on scene there at the Foster's airport, right here in Grand Cayman. And we just hop over to Jamaica as we read here on Loop News that the Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he feels targeted by the Integrity Commission. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he feels targeted by the Integrity Commission, Jamaican's anti corruption watchdog. According to Loop News, Holness expressed his concern in a statement Tuesday night following the public release of a 63-page investigation report by the Integrity Commission, which outlined that a company, Estate Bridge, which is connected to Holness, was in the process of building an apartment complex in Beverly Hills in deliberate breach of the building permits granted by the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC. According to the report, 4 units comprising 4 bedrooms each are being constructed where approval was given for 2 bedroom structures only. So a lot happening.
wow, 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 wow. I would hope that Lady Elise, that you would probably just use some of those time to kind of like get some of those ghettos under control. The people land being captured, and kind of like find a few. Those communities that one person in one house, and overnight the entire place is populated with people, and then you have no regular roads and everything, but we don't have anybody to look at those things. But we
Yes.
are. I'm not saying you shouldn't look at the prime minister building your houses, right? But
Well,
I think,
yes.
um, I see that we have been focusing, it's like we have been focusing on some areas that probably would have been better served somewhere else.
Yeah.
I've looked at communities where people are actually building structures in the actual road and nobody notices it.
Yeah.
In the actual road, you're building in the road itself and
Mm-hmm.
nobody notices that. But then guess what? we should build a 2 bedroom, but we build a 3 bedroom, and wow, that's a bad thing. I'm wondering about stuff like that sometimes. I'm
Well,
saying
he says there he feel like it's targeted. That's news coming out of Jamaica.
a real concern, I think a real concern is necessary. If that's what the real concern is, then that's what the concern. So I guess what we must do though is ensure that the Integrity Commission is held in the highest regard, because what we need is people who are oversight to persons with corruption, because we have had so many corrupt behavior already. So we're not going to beat the commission at all. We're not going to say that they're not in their rights to do what they're doing, but we
Yes.
want rights. We want it to be kind of like more felt in other areas, like in the ghettos, where people are building up. You have these communities, and then you build a ghetto right beside it because you feel that it should be happening. I don't understand what's going on with that. Listen, we shouldn't be having these kind of projects going on. We should have people, and I'm not against people who are poor. I'm against people who are ghettoizing communities.
To be
I'm
poor
against.
is a crime, Mikey G. To be poor is a crime.
I know what Wackland House looked like. I grew up and see Wackland House, and these were poor people. But ghettoism is a different matter altogether. It's not the same thing.
Oh boy. All right, it's time. It's time to get on the studio door, Mikey G. It is that time. It is that time. That time. Yes. So I want to say thank you to our listeners. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Breakfast Hour. We have certainly had a good time, and Dr. K shared so many interesting things with us this morning. And of course, as we get out of here, we are getting out of here. We are getting out of studio. We want to say thank you for joining us. If you haven't done so, please go ahead, like, share, subscribe, and tell someone there's something amazing. We did not do our community notice board, but we'll have to make up for that on our very next episode of the
Is it
Breakfast Hour.
is the Ebenezer church still having their function?
They are having their um, dinner, their
Yes,
banquet,
on the 15th. I understand.
the 15th of this month. And I think tickets are still there. Sister Sharon Thompson, Elder Judith McFarling, you know, they have tickets that are available. But just give us a call if you just want to support. It's for the church building fund, So even if you're not able to attend, your support would certainly be appreciated.
All right. Well, of course, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this morning for the breakfast hour. It has been a minute. And of course, we did have fun this morning, ladies. I really enjoyed this morning's breakfast hour. It has been a good discussion, good topics, of course, good questions and answers that came up this morning. I know I was just being, a little bit facetious in some of that. But, anyways, guys, I think that's where I come in, and that's my role, right? So please, join breakfast hour each morning. It comes at
Forgive Mikey G.
6:30 in the a.m. every day, right here on Flashpoint, Mondays to Fridays. And of course, we continue all through the day on www.flashpointmedia.ky. Continue to stick and stay with Flashpoint. Have yourself a great day, and of course, a better one tomorrow.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further, away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries, we'll make our own way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe Look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, it will all seem better outside. Just us in the sky. I will go wherever, I'll be yours forever. Are we part of this circus? Is it innate? Feels like a heavy burden, but I can't relate. Do our actions even matter? Or is this our fate? At least now I'm feeling better. I know I'm here to stay. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air. Look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside.